Construction science is materials, methods, processes, and tools that are used to actually build buildings, underground, horizontal, vertical structures. And historically, we've looked at these two things as being very mutually exclusive. But I'm going to lay out a case today for how those really are no longer mutually exclusive, but fundamentally intertwined with each other. The cloud, it's something we have to always define. It's computing that's available anywhere, anytime, on any device. It's radically changed our lives in so many ways. There's been a lot of resistance, though, in the built environment to adopt cloud technologies that's slowly melting away. Big data is another commonly misused phrase that very few people really understand. In water terms, it's Niagara Falls. It's a bunch of water moving really fast from a bunch of different sources. Except in a big data system, we could tell you where the water's coming from, where it's going to, and most importantly, what it all means. Big data delivers enormous amounts of meaning to seemingly meaningless piles of information. In the built environment, in buildings and construction, for years we've collected reams of data that's sat in paper folders and binders and even in disparate folder structures that were never really used to help make better decisions about how we build our buildings, how we build our roads, and how we actually operate them. And then machine learning. This is Arthur Lee Samuel, one of my personal heroes. He taught a machine how to play itself in checkers. He knew it'd be impossible to program every possible checkers move. And so he taught a machine to play itself over and over and over and over and over again in checkers until he learned how to actually win a checkers game, and it beat the world checkers champion. Really interesting systems in the built environment like smart video are actually combining all of these technologies right now to be able to analyze these piles of information that have been sitting around for decades in the built environment. Photos, videos, unstructured text, all sitting there waiting to be pulled, to have meaning pulled out of them. Smart video actually has an artificial intelligence engine that will learn all the objects in a building and in a job site and can automatically tell you what somebody's doing. Are they conducting unsafe activities? Is that a backhoe? Is it an earth mover? So that people don't have to tag elements in photos. More importantly, it can actually help you predict what's going on a job site and hopefully prevent a death or an injury like actually happened here at Kyle Field when it was under construction. So there's two types of construction tech we really have to follow, and it's really challenging for those of us in the computing and construction science fields. There's the tech that goes into buildings, that's building tech. So new thermostats, new types of concrete, new types of structural material. And then there's management tech. That's the technology that we use to actually build the building itself. And so unfortunately, as technologists in the construction space, we have to follow both of these all the time. Now, we surveyed thousands of construction companies, and we asked them, what technology are you actually experimenting with? And I was really pleased to see a lot of my favorite topics on here, of which we're going to talk about today. Drones, scanners, printers, virtual and augmented reality, wearable devices, and more. Wearables are really in use now. That's actually me in the middle. Yes, I was not exactly being the safest driver that day. I had my Google glasses on. I also had my Apple Watch on. I've got it on right now. Now, I'm going to say there's a few rules on wearables that we really need to follow. We really need to make sure that they actually have some type of biological interface. Otherwise, it's just strapping a computer on your body. So if you take a laptop and you actually put straps on it, put it on your back, that does not make it a wearable. It makes it a strap top, right? This, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, tells us everything about our bodies. Unfortunately for some, fortunately for others. This watch will tell you your heart rate. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, a girl credited her Fitbit with saving her life. It actually detected she had a heart problem. The doctor pulled the data and it saved her life. And so wearables are for real. People are actually using them. 10% of construction companies are already using wearables on the job site to track worker health. There's three categories we have to follow, though. There's visual, sensing, and tactile. Tactile really augment your sense of touch. These are BearTech gloves. They have a sensor arrays inside the gloves so you can control a computer without taking your gloves off. It's very important for us in the built environment. Really good tactile wearables actually have haptic motors that give you feedback when you touch things that aren't actually there. A lot of your phones have haptic motors underneath the screens. Sensing wearables sense us and the world around us. So you can see this is Leap Motion. We've been using Leap Motion a lot in our research and development lab. We use it to bring our hands into virtual reality. So when reviewing construction buildings, and I'll show you this later, you can actually see your hands in front of you inside of VR. That's called mixed reality. And we also use the Thalmic Labs MyoArm band, which reads, because your elbow is connected to your hand bone, it can actually read all your muscle movement in your arm, and it'll tell you what your hands are doing. These are pretty fun, unless you're a big talker like me with your hand talking, and they can actually inadvertently control your computer while you're talking. And then visual wearables, which is by far my area of passion. We've done enormous amounts of research in augmented and virtual reality. Virtual reality is the pursuit of presence and mobility. Now, Oculus is definitively, for now, the leader in this space. The Gear VR and the Rift have done incredible things for us in VR. We've built apps for these from the first day that they were released. And their objective is to make you forget about reality. Now, if you have children, or if you're a gamer, this should scare you, because you don't want to completely lose touch with reality, but they do want you to get this one major thing, feeling. They want you to feel what it feels like to walk into a building. They want you to feel what it feels like to have a dinosaur chase you down the hallway, like happened to me when I was at the first Oculus conference. It scared I knew dinosaurs weren't real. It scared the heck out of me. I have a minor fear of heights, so it put me on a cliff, and I had to look over, and I backed away inside of VR. I had the feeling, and that helps us make better decisions in building. This is our prototype app we built in early days, and we actually updated it recently for Oculus Rift for builders to review what they're going to build before they build it. You see, we want to solve a major problem we have in building, and that is that we screw up a lot. There's a lot of problems. There's things that don't work, and you don't really find that out until you start building the building. So what we did here is we actually identified the ability to review what physically wasn't going to work, and then use your hands inside of virtual reality to experience that building, to peel wall layers away, to review how it's built, and to hopefully take someone with a lot of experience and help them make better decisions and prevent mistakes. So much of what we do in technology is about mistake prevention. We want to stop human error, ideally. That's what self-driving cars are all about too, because people stink at driving, and we want to stop human error. So there's some really interesting things that we're doing inside of VR with manipulation of walls, wall sections, reviewing points of clash, even bringing data elements out of the building model. In this case, we mimicked some of the Minority Report gestures so we could wind forward and backwards in time inside of virtual reality so that people could look at what it would actually look like for something to get built. Believe it or not, when you look at a schedule on a Gantt chart and then you walk into a building and watch it get built, those are two completely different experiences. Experience and feeling delivers better schedules, better models, and ultimately better buildings that we live in. You should all care about this because you all live in buildings. Well, hopefully you all live in buildings, right? And we had a student here at Texas A&M when I was a student that lived on the golf course. So if that's one of you here, I understand. We'll talk later about what golf course living is like. But since we all live in buildings, we have to be concerned about their safety and their structure.